Hey everybody, this is going to be just a brief update here on this Saturday morning, November the 2nd, 2024. It's a really nice day here in Gainesville, Florida, where I am. The temperature is about 78 degrees with the light easterly, northeasterly wind blowing, coming in sometimes from the southeast, and we have some nice weather, really. It's a little too warm for me for November, though. I would rather it be highs in the upper 60s, low 70s with lows in the 50s, but hey, we'll go ahead and just take the mild weather while we have it. I just wanted to show you real briefly what the computer models are showing here and just give you an idea of what we're looking at. This is the national map off of the NOAA website, National Weather Service. As you can see here, I can't zoom in, but you can see we have very mild weather all the way from southern Arizona across through Texas, all the way over to South Carolina, where temperatures are in the upper 70s to low 80s, upper 80s down here in central and southern Florida, and also in South Texas. As you can see, you have a big area of blue and like a dark green over the Intermountain West areas. It's pretty chilly out there right now because there's a big trough in the jet stream right here. So the orientation of the jet stream is something like this. And then over here, over the midsection in the south, there's a ridge in the upper levels, high pressure. So we have fair weather, mostly dry conditions, and you have a little bit of a decaying front just kind of sitting over the south central US, or excuse me, the central mid-south area. There's some heavy thunderstorms off towards central Oklahoma and northwestern Texas out there towards places like Abilene and what's that place out there? I forget the name, Lubbock. And then going on up here and towards Topeka, Kansas, could have some severe weather because there is a low pressure area coming out of the Colorado Rockies onto the Great Plains of Colorado, and that's bringing some of that moist air from the Gulf all the way up through Texas, Oklahoma, and up here into southeastern Kansas. Here in the Northeast, we have, typical cool weather. It's in the 60s and 50s up there. And so that's typical for the Northeast in November. It's kind of cool, kind of chilly, pretty chilly across the upper Midwest, Minnesota and Wisconsin. The Dakotas are in the 50s and 60s for highs today. So it's typical weather up there. Kind of warm down here in the southeast, though. A little bit warmer than what I think a lot of people in this area would like, unless you're one of those people from New York that relocated to Florida and you like hot weather year round. And I'm not one of those people. I mean, if you like warm weather, that's great because you want to get away from the cold from up north. I understand. But anyway, let me show you the computer models real quick and show you what they are showing here. Let me go back in time here. This is as the weather people have been talking, there has been a disturbance in the southwestern Caribbean, right off here off of Nicaragua by about 400 miles and also south of Jamaica. And this right here, the model I'm getting ready to show you is the Canadian model. Let me put this into motion and I'll show you. Well, let me do it manually. That seems to be better. Get this out of the way. Now watch. This is today, November 2nd. Now watch. Let me go scroll down just a hair here so I can still manipulate this thing. This is the area where meteorologists have been talking about possible tropical cyclone development. Here we are in Florida. I'm located right here in northern Florida. So let's put this into motion. Okay, this is by tomorrow, a low pressure area is trying to pop up in the southwestern Caribbean. So let's see what happens by Monday the 3rd, or I mean Monday the 4th. Okay, Monday the 4th, low pressure kind of see there's a big gyre down here. There's an area where there's rotating air over a large area, kind of spiraling around a mean area of low pressure, and there's other little low pressure areas that try to pop up on the periphery of it. And that's exactly what the Canadian model is trying to show. So by Monday morning, November 4th, we show a tropical low pressure area just to the southeast of Jamaica. Let's see what happens throughout that day, going into the 5th. Yep, it's trying to get organized very slowly, and then the low pressure center tries to form a little further west. So generally, this whole area south of Jamaica and south of the Cayman Islands is where the model shows a low pressure developing. Now, as it goes forward in time, it generally moves to the northwest very slowly, still meandering on Wednesday the 6th. Tropical moisture is going to be coming up into the Keys and South Florida by Wednesday the 6th. We have a cold front approaching from the west towards the Memphis area and going down to like Lake Charles. This is going to fall apart and weaken. Now watch this area of low pressure down here. We have a fighter jet just going over right now. So that low pressure area by Wednesday night shows it coming over western Cuba, going into the southeastern Gulf. The pressure is only 1,000 millibars. So this is basically a low end tropical storm, 40, 45 miles an hour. Kind of makes its way up towards the eastern Gulf. Now, keep in mind the upper level winds over the Gulf are going to be very strong, probably at least 20 to 30 knots. So this thing is going to be likely sheared pretty good, which means it's not going to get very strong, more than likely. I wouldn't expect a category 2 or 3 or 4 hurricane out of this. More likely a tropical storm, maybe a low end hurricane. As you can see, the pressure does drop a little bit, but it doesn't drop much. And the Canadian model is showing that the low pressure area associated with this potential depression or tropical storm is going to make its way up towards the Florida Panhandle or Big Bend on Friday, November 8th, and just kind of sit around there and just fall apart. So that's the Canadian model. And just move that, and it just kind of falls apart over the Gulf Coast and brings us a little bit of rain, which actually the Panhandle and North Florida actually needs the rain a little bit. Let me do one more model. This is the GFS, which is not always that great because it's all over the place. But as you can see, tomorrow, the 3rd of November, we still have the storm trying to pop up in the same general area as the Canadian model. You can see it in the Jamaica area. Now, the GFS also shows a cold front coming in across the Mid-South, also shows this tropical feature getting stronger, perhaps a hurricane, a small but intense little Category 2 hurricane going up towards western Cuba by Wednesday the 6th, which kind of aligns really well with the Canadian, but a lot stronger. Shows it coming up into the Gulf and then hooking a left turn. And the only way I can explain that is this model is showing a very strong area of high pressure developing off the southeast coast, which would push the storm west. But then as it pushes west, it's going to encounter some strong wind shear. And watch what happens. It just kind of weakens and almost disintegrates and comes into southeast Louisiana as a weak tropical storm, and then plays around along the Gulf Coast, being absorbed by a cold front. So basically, what I'm seeing is a low end tropical storm, more than likely, is what we're going to be looking at across the northern Gulf of Mexico. I wouldn't expect a hurricane. It looks to be very unlikely that this will be a hurricane if it hits the Gulf Coast. It'll be a tropical storm. Now, it could become a hurricane down near western Cuba and the Jamaica area, but not likely for the Gulf Coast or really for Florida in general. Anyway, that's all I've got for now. I will talk to you guys probably in a couple of days when we get a better idea, or when the models get a better idea of what's going to happen. Talk to you later.